What have you done to he who is son, son of the mighty, who ousted the serpents that resemble the union of the celestial suns? What of him now, O he who still hides behind the white elusive castles and helms the sad triumphant crown? What more can he preach as we bury him now? And so I still say to he whose intention disbands and betrays, what stories can we address from his impressive lecture that tells of a child who died for the behest of his father, that was attempting to rescue a creature that no longer had the resolve or desire to dare and thus feed the great starving outlooks that told not of what yet awaits? Ah, the same sordid potentials that they themselves were unable to see with the eyes that were veiled by the tarnish of their differential intents. Admit that it was you who had laid the pathway before him, and he was to tread with the utmost of shame and dishonor. For as he walked with the grace of your essence, cowered away as he gaited negress the broken dreams that you placed, he walked with the grief that even you must have sensed, into an expedition that directed to the ends that those who live nowhere intend, alongside a road that led not to the steps that you had claimed to have used in your courageous descent to impregnate my soul with the seed that was sowed to abolish the questions that men asked you with reviled content. For nothing is as it seems in these dark and spoken days, and we see with the stills of his relented misery a notional helical of fire that runs downward into a funnel that is encased in the greed that encouraged my lone, broken son to fall into the arms of seducers, betrayers, unto kings that wield high the words of judgment and oath, but cannot arbitrate with its own ruling, but through the mouthpiece of he who is God. Still we see these days drowned with the tears that will flood in our sadness for years, that will live on forever, eternally insolvent in the marsh of our guilt, where the veins of all men bleed with the expulsions of their most important mistake, around the corner and underneath the 4 red burning lakes, where he said we shall see the great tree of our fortune alter the thoughts of our transparent notions, and fall just like those who were led by the introverted serpent that lies on his belly on the ice sheet where men are to suffer without the resolve to repent. You are but a utilitarian tyrant, lingering in a hollow where no one is ever blessed, unless it has been written and thus penned with the words described within your permissible text, alone inside a darkness where the air tastes like the soot of their pillaged reminders that purloined with the loss of their allegiance in the night that hosted the most important revelation of events. And I bet with all that I have learned from my child who found no comfort in his quest, a child that I bore without a partner to suspect as one who will aid him now, since he has fallen into the hands of a death that I implore will give him rest. I am assured that you were standing naked above the shadows that shielded us from your vacuous face, where the ever-knowing never knows the answers to the many questions that await in the reprehensive seasons, akin to a response that wakes, as set in ruin and embalmed in the undeciphered depths. Bastard, oh bastard that no longer reasons with the afflictions that lay sundered in my wake, tell us why we must subsist inside a life where the dying never depart from the pains that hail important, and denies us from the yearnings we inquire, and our furrowing desperations to just simply fall away as required, to die like those that you deleted from your book of your defense. Tell us why my son, and he who bears the makeup of your vacant roving days, designed the canticles that hide in secret and in shade, to tell of new instructions where we are to depart in our cessations from this ancient tarnished desert into the mighty fort that leads into the calls of tradition den, or beyond the ruins of your olden haven, where we still suppose we might see bitterness in the form of your allotted flesh, as a being who has no mouth to speak but that the silence of expression, eyes that see not without the visors of disdain, without ears to hear our question, or even yet a shape to lead us from the spectre that knows us by our spoken name. And in days that led to this moment, that you had no right to claim. I heard our child mutter tales of mourning in his state of dreamless slumber and unrest, telling me of a fate unto his father, fate unto he who seldom wakes. The closing supper that he held the night before he felt the leathered whips of your intended seed, a coronation made of thorns, a story with no words, to disconnect ourselves from heaven's cord, for we will soon inherit such a choice to choose the latter in reverse, or to move towards an acute direction that attains to those who heard and understood the riddles in your words. You masquerade the universe with bemused perplexities, and no longer will I dare to trust a promise that was commented through whispers of the darkest moments of his creed. Unfortunately, my curse is everlasting, and the snake that fell from heaven had a reason to depart from pages that were written for defining explanations in the dawn of myth and man. Accidental nativity be gone. Forsaken, I too were meant to be. Sainted for the birthing victories that will topple in my failures. For I save not my son from your temptation and his appeal. And so, my tainted anguish shall be enthroned for all to see his parody, with wings that fly with mockery into the prayers that sing high of my existence. And with that I tell you this, my father, I'd rather not exist. Oh, did you see your son get scolded as he was forced to march into the predetermined spiral that even he who lies beneath us was not forced to undertake? Ah, the divine beauty has been ripped away from your own deluded understanding. Therefore, I shall not be penitent for this hate I feel for you. I will hold my head down with vanity as I make my slow descent into the road that leads to the iron gates that he, who is our child, has opened wide for ascending into the celestial heavens where you may or may not await. Was he not a giant? A blasphemer with the same appeal of man? How are we to have reliance on a masochist who was committed to the wrongs of exculpation through other wanton hands? For as we saw him lynched and impaled on wood and steel, we saw the future of this ancient world dismantled with his tears. And now you place blame on those who followed regulation by your calculated bid, those who were bred to expire just as I saw my offspring disappear.